Hello everybody, and a warm welcome to my channel Nelly the Narcissist. This is the place that raises awareness about narcissistic abuse and narcissistic personality disorder through comedy. We believe here that there is a large spiritual element to NPD and narcissistic abuse that isn't often discussed. Knowing the psychology is hugely important. We all know that I love Professor Sam Vaknin's channel, but standing alone, it's kind of incomplete in giving us a fuller picture of what went on. And I really do believe that you have to combine the spiritual element to complete this picture. So if this sounds interesting to you and you'd like to know more, then please do consider subscribing to my channel and help me get these messages out there by liking, sharing, and commenting your thoughts and experience down below. A lot of people have asked me to share my own experience about the first time that I got to see behind the mask of the narcissist. And my story is quite fascinating because I was in an altered state at the time. And even though I believed that it was all just a paranoia trip, I realized many months later that in that moment, somehow the veil had been lifted and my eyes got to see the narcissists for who they really were. It is a moment that is probably the most horrific, terrifying, and shocking of most people's lives. And if you didn't believe in evil before that relationship, you experience it firsthand. I understood that, darkness existed because of an absence of light. I didn't necessarily think that evil had a force all of its own until I met the narcissist. And this video, I'm going to speak about the first time that I saw behind the mask. And I'm going to make another video about the final unmasking of the narcissist when they were ready to take it off and they wanted me to see what was underneath it. Now, before I go into this, I just wanted to say this video is made for information purposes only, and I do not endorse the taking of any kind of drugs or substances. So here's my story. In the first few months of my last narcissistic relationship, when the mask was still firmly glued to the narcissist's face and I had no idea it was a mask, I had no idea that there was something lurking behind it, I went to a party, and in the evening I was offered a gummy bear from the freezer. Now, two things: I'd never had an edible before in my life, and the second thing, I'd never even been high. I was so naive. Nobody said to me, what you need to do is just have a little bit. Because the gummy bear was so small anyway, I put the whole thing in my mouth and I ate it. So I got home and I was living with a narcissist at the time and another person. And it took about an hour and a half for this edible to kick in. And when it kicked in, I was standing in the kitchen and my eyelids became really, really heavy and they suddenly closed. I couldn't open my eyes. And I started crying crazy floods of tears. I couldn't stop. I felt so much pain. Not like pain in my body, I felt the pain of people on earth. I just couldn't stop crying. And then I lost power of my limbs and I had to collapse on the floor, and my ability to speak was also gone. I remember being sat there feeling totally out of my body, and I sensed like I was way back somehow. I was way back in my body and I was trying to command myself to move and to speak. But it took every piece of power that I had for me to do anything, to make any kind of move or to make any kind of noise out of my mouth. For anybody that has been in this kind of situation, it was so scary. I was really, really lucky that I was home. But when the narcissist that I didn't know was a narcissist came to me, I remember I was totally out of it. I could barely move, like I said. My eyes also must have been closed as I couldn't open them, but I could see the narcissist when they came towards me because I looked in their direction and I pointed my hand at them and I said, "You!" And why I said that, this is the thing that you'll probably think I'm crazy about, but I'm going to tell you what I saw in that trip and you can make your own mind up. Why I said that is because without a shadow of a doubt in that moment, I felt like I knew them very, very well and I'd known them before and we'd been connected. And I even saw a whole scene of where we were and what we were doing. And I knew that I had come to understand back then that they were bad, bad news. And all of a sudden, there they were in front of me, disguised as somebody else in a new body. But I knew who they were inside. In that moment, instead of seeing the mask and how that narcissist was presenting themselves, I got some kind of a gateway into seeing them for who they really were, and not just seeing but feeling it. I felt this very strong, dark, evil presence that terrified me, and I didn't want them anywhere near me. In fact, when they came near me, I shouted at them, "Get away from me! Don't touch me! Get away from me!" And the thing was, you could say that this was just a coincidence, but I didn't have this feeling about the other person in the house. It was only the narcissist. But you see, there was still a part of me that was witnessing all of this and was fully conscious. I was aware that I was under the influence of a substance, and I recognized that I was probably paranoid. And for some reason, I'd become paranoid about this person I was in a relationship with. Actually, at the time, I really loved and I really trusted them. The thing that really disturbed me and stuck in my head after that experience is the giveaway of their reaction towards me tripping on them. Now, not only were they deeply offended by the fact that I didn't want them near me and all the things I said to them, but they became incredibly angry. Their reaction to my trip was really bizarre. It wasn't normal. Like for any normal person, they would understand, okay, my partner's having a trip. They don't mean anything that they're saying. They're hallucinating. They're getting paranoid. Let's just, look after them, make sure they're okay. The narcissist did not react like that, obviously, to me. They did not look after me in the slightest. In fact, they did the opposite. They were rather mean and evil, and they became enraged by the trip that I was having. They knew, I didn't know, but they knew that they were being exposed, and they did not like it. And because the narcissist didn't like being exposed, because they weren't ready to be exposed, they became quite vicious with me. Now, I didn't want them anywhere near me. I didn't want them in the same room as me, for sure. But they kept coming in that room, knowing full well that I was unable to move, sat next to me, and whispered a whole load of evil things in my ear. I couldn't understand, is this real? Is this actually being said? Or is this just a trip, an illusion? I asked a few days later to the narcissist, did you actually say those things to me? Or was that in my imagination? And the narcissist said, yeah, I said it. I'm not going to mention the evil things that were said to me in that very vulnerable moment where all that I needed was some love and reassurance. Yet they were so angry at me for outing them and seeing them for who they were before they were ready to be seen. And because of that, they became really vindictive. And it was like catching a thief red-handed. And you've got three options. You can either run, lie, or hold your hands up and say, yeah, you got me. Well, the narcissist in this particular occasion decided to hold their hands up. Okay, yeah, you've seen me. And not only have you seen me, but now I'm going to give it to you. And I must punish you for what you've just said to me and how you've just seen me. And what I saw and what I felt from them was pure evil. Like it was an evil that I cannot describe other than looking into hell. Everybody laughs at that have not been through narcissistic abuse, that haven't experienced that level, that haven't actually seen that. But in that moment, they knew that the game was up. They were ready to show me who they were. And they let it all hang out. They did not hold back. This was the thing that caused me the most distress. I was just having a trip. That's what I thought. I never expected to stumble across, this. I never expected to come across a truth that was laid bare for me. And of course, when I came round from this trip, I didn't believe for a second that the evil of what I felt was truly the essence of that person. I'd never ever encountered evil before. So, I imagined it was my mind playing tricks on me. I didn't realize, in fact, that gummy bear had given me the possibility of seeing, behind the mask and lifting the veil. I couldn't believe it. And of course, because I couldn't believe it, I just chalked it down to a trip. And the narcissist must have been so happy in that moment that I went back to sleep. And unless you've been through narcissistic abuse, unless you have seen that for yourself, you would never believe that it exists in people. But it does. And I had no idea then what I know now, having seen through the mask of the narcissist when they decided that they were going to take it off for good. Now, a viewer of the channel recently said in one of the comments, which I really took note of, it's not just the fact that the mask comes off. The veil is also lifted from your eyes so you can see the truth. And of course, yeah, it is a combination of the two, and that's very well put. They have the mask, they wear the mask, but you also wear the veil. I want to say a massive thank you to all of my subscribers that are here supporting me with what I'm doing. Massive thank you to you. I couldn't do it without you. And thank you also, by the way, for your generous donations that I receive. It is hugely appreciated, and it helps me to know that the content that I am doing is hitting the right buttons. If you've liked today's content, then I'm going to link you to some other videos below in the description box and at the end of this video that you might like, including some more podcasts and some comedy skits. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, sending love, and I'll see you next time.